There is a particular hour in the city's life when only the people with nowhere respectable to be are still awake. It is not midnight that belongs to the young and the hopeful. No, I mean that thin, exhausted hour just before dawn, when the music is tired of itself and the bartender has cleaned the same glass 3 times simply to stay conscious. That is when I prefer to arrive. The tavern in question is not one of my usual haunts. It is a little off the map of acceptable sins. Ceiling too low, light too honest, no orchestra to drown out the sound of men lying to themselves. Still, it has one redeeming feature, a bar stool in the corner from which a man may watch the entire circus without being invited to join the act. She is already there when I walk in. Of course, she is. Women like her are always already there. It is gentlemen like me who make the entrance. Not beautiful, no, the world has squeezed the softness out of her face too early, but there's a stubborn kind of prettiness clinging on, the cheekbones, the wide, tired eyes, the mouth that has learned to smile on command and yet, when left alone, folds into something almost like a question. She is drinking something pink and cheap in a tall glass. That, more than the dress, tells you what she is. Good evening, I say, placing my gloves on the bar as if they, too, deserve a drink. Is this seat taken? She looks at me, at the suit, the absurdity of my coat in this tireless little room. For the right price, she says, any seat is taken, senor. There's no malice in it, merely an inventory of the facts. I smile. Splendid. Then allow me to rent the seat, and you with it. Strictly for conversation, mind you. My vices these days are largely conversational. The barman glances over. We strike the sort of arrangement that is perfectly understood and never spoken aloud. I buy her drinks at an inflated rate, and in return she gives me the courtesy of listening as if my anecdotes were worth more than the coins that summon them. It is in effect the most honest therapy money can buy. What's your name, I ask her. Lucia, she lies. Of course it is, I nod. You look like a Lucia, full of light you were never properly paid for. She laughs at that, a small surprised sound. And you? You look like trouble in a nice suit. Barry, I say. Lord Barry, if we are playing at titles tonight. Lord, she repeats, rolling it around like a sweet on the tongue. Entonces, usted es libre, no? You are a free man. It is a simple remark, and yet it lands oddly. Free. I have been called many things. Degenerate, heir, disappointment, charming bastard, but rarely that. I suppose, I say, compared to some. She shrugs. You walk in when you want, you walk out when you want. That is already a kind of freedom. I order her another of the pink atrocities and a proper drink for myself. Brandy, of course. One must cling to standards where one can. You will have to forgive me, Lucia, I tell her as the glasses arrive. I am in a confessional mood this evening. She raises her glass. Bueno. You pay, I listen. We drink to that little contract, she with professional indifference, I with the solemnity of a man baptizing his own bad ideas. My mother, I begin, because where else is there to begin, was a woman you might have liked, not because she was like you, she was not, but because she understood the tax the world places on a woman's choices. Lucia tilts her head the way a nurse might when a patient finally starts telling the truth. She married my father because the world left her very few doors she could open on her own. He had money, property, a name like a locked gate. She thought, as many have, that behind such a gate there might be safety. And there was not, Lucia says. There was a kind of safety, I concede. The safety of knowing precisely who owned you. He gave her houses to sit in, parties to preside over, a son to manage. In return, he took her youth, her laughter, and eventually her health. A fair trade, some would say, in our polite circles. Lucia looks down at her drink. I see many women like that, she murmurs, in uniforms and dresses, in nothing at all. The system changes the costume, not the script. Exactly, I say a little too eagerly. You see, you understand. She was not weak. She was simply playing the only game the rules allowed. And when her body failed her, nobody blamed the game. They blamed her for not playing it gracefully enough. And your father, she asks, is he still the lord of the game? Lord of something, certainly, I say. Old now, ill, a king whose castle shrank into a flat he cannot quite bring himself to relinquish, or share, or define. He cuffs, he rants, he clings to paperwork as if deeds and wills were rosary beads. There is a flat my aunt lives in, supposedly mine, that I cannot rent, cannot use, cannot even properly claim without igniting a war over the family table. I do not say all this to Lucia in so many words. It comes out instead as an anecdote about a key that fits in a door I am forbidden to open. You have property you cannot touch, she asks. Picture, if you will, I say, being handed a beautiful locked room and told it is yours, on the condition you never rearrange the furniture, never change the curtains, and certainly never invite anyone undesired over the threshold. It is ownership by decorative title. I am heir to a diorama. That sounds like my life, she says dryly. Everyone sees the girl in the dress, not the locks on the door.